red light's on. This is go time. This is when all the pressure starts to set in. I'm sure you can feel it right now, right? You're all nervous, right? No nervous?
No, I'm okay.
Not nervous at all.
Since you've said it.
Yeah, you're a pro. You know what you're doing here. So I start off all my interviews with this first question. What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
I had mushrooms on toast with some scrambled eggs. So actually a pretty good breakfast.
That's a great breakfast. That sounds tasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Is that a typical morning breakfast, or did you go something special on this Friday?
No. Normally I kind of have something.
Got the phone kicking off.
Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
That's not. I normally have like a granola or something, but I just sort of looked in the fridge. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Awesome. Well, instead of talking about breakfast, why don't we talk about, maybe why we're actually on this interview. So I want to tell my listeners kind of who you are and what you're raising money for over on Indiegogo right now.
Okay, so we launched a campaign on Indiegogo for a product that we've been developing for 2 years. It's called New Grip 4-in-1, and it's a grip for GoPro or DJI action cameras, even your smartphone. That's nothing unique. There's plenty of handles or grips available on the market, but what's unique about our product is it has these kind of 4 functions all wrapped into one, and those 4 functions basically get you through every day of your action camera life. And the main feature is that it floats. So it's the first floating tripod. So if you're enjoying your action sports, like you're on a stand-up paddleboard and you're taking some cool shots and it drops in the water, it'll float. But then it'll also be a tripod, it'll be a pole, and it'll be a grip. And it basically means that you never really have to transition. You never have to get another accessory and kind of detach it, and there's loads of opportunities to lose it in the water and all those sort of things. So it's been received well by some reviewers in the kind of action camera market. Yeah. And they really love it because it just means they spend more time kind of enjoying the moment with their camera, or with their friends and family. They're not kind of annoying them by having to detach the camera and put onto another accessory and all those things. So
that's cool.
So that's the product.
That's great. So you mentioned 2 years. So like, what's been happening over the couple of years to kind of develop it and get it to this point right now?
Okay, so the initial concept or the initial idea came to us about 3 years ago, just on a holiday. I just bought a GoPro for my wife's birthday, and we came up with this idea. But it was just an idea at that stage. We just kind of just got on with our lives. But then sort of an opportunity came up where I left my permanent job, which was designing aircraft interiors, to set up our own design studio. And so, I was doing some work for clients designing aircraft, but I also had this idea that I was like, I'd like to, let's see whether we can make that into a real product. So we quickly kind of rationalized the idea with some prototypes. And, we basically proved the idea. So then we spent the next sort of 9 months going through the development stages, bigger prototypes, smaller prototypes, getting more functionality in, seeing what cameras would work with it, seeing which phones would work with it, that sort of stuff. And then we've traveled to Asia where we found our manufacturer, and we sort of started to build a good relationship with them, and we then invested in the kind of the tooling, which is the expensive part of any campaign or project, is this kind of upfront payment to pay for the project tooling. And I think with most Indiegogos, people don't invest in the tooling before they start the campaign. They're raising money to be able to afford that tooling. But I've seen some campaigns fall foul of the problems you have after investing in the tooling. There's more development. There's a bit of refining. You find things don't go together as well, and that period of refinement with your manufacturer can take some time. So we just thought we would, we took that upon ourselves just to take that hit. So we funded the tooling, and we've then spent the next sort of 6 to 8 months just refining the product with the manufacturer and making sure that our processes worked, so that when we came to Indiegogo, we could deliver in the timescales that we said that we would deliver.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's important. I've seen campaigns where they promised, they're going to deliver in 3 months, and it's 2 years down the line.
Yeah. You want to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah,
that's no good. No good at all.
Yeah. So, and then obviously COVID-19 happened. So we had hoped to have started maybe 6 months ago, but we just felt it was the wrong time to launch.
Yeah. So. Gotcha. So, so it sounds like you have experience in just product design in general from the past job, correct? I mean, it just sounds like you at least know this world, you know what you're at least looking for, or the pitfalls. Would that be a fair statement, you think? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Aircraft interiors, there's just product design everywhere, designing the seats, designing the overhead bins. Every generation wants to be lighter, more advanced. They're trying to compress all the seats together so they can fit more passengers. So product development is kind of, is my background. I understand what's involved in the process from kind of the initial concept right through to delivery of the aircraft. So yeah, that's kind of in my DNA.
So inside of that, as you're kind of going through that, that journey there, what are you looking for to validate that your product is, one, going to do what you want it to do, two, it's going to be, it's going to look great, it's going to be functional. What are you looking for inside of that as you're kind of going through prototypes and, just that process? Like, what are you looking for?
Just test. At every stage, with a new prototype or a new kind of concept, is testing it. Put it in front of people, see how did it feel like. We spent hours agonizing over the grip, how wide it was. Was it wide enough for the 5th percentile? The smallest hands versus the biggest hands. So it's just testing it, and it's also knowing when to be like, that's enough.
Right.
That's also a thing. A designer will always want to, continue to refine. But because we had these 4 functions, we were always trying to balance one function with the other function, not trying to compromise too much. So it was just trying to strike that balance. So that's why, we spent most of the time in our development was basically prototype test, until we came to a nice harmony with the product.
Yeah. Are you, for a product like this, because it is a fairly crowded field, even though you're doing something very unique in it, are you looking at competitors and what they've, what groundwork they've already laid to this point and trying to work from that at all? Or are you going completely, from the ground up?
Yeah. I mean, so with the additional functionality that we had, this kind of the floating element, it kind of meant that we had to obviously deliver the same level of quality in terms of, if it's going to be a tripod, it needs to be a good tripod.
Right.
And there's plenty of good tripod manufacturers. So we obviously were trying to maintain the same level, but we were trying to achieve something different. So we were just looking at a slightly different perspective to make, to enable it to float and do all that sort of thing. So you're always aware of what is out there, but you've also not got to be led by that, because you're at the end of the day trying to bring out something that somebody hasn't come up with. In the 3 years that we were developing this project, I was just surprised nobody else had done it. Right. But that's all it takes it's a simple idea in reality. Everyone that I've given it to or tested it, they're just like, this is a no-brainer. Like if I have a tripod and I'm just messing about by the water or whatever, I want it to float.
Right.
It's just so, it's the simple things, right?
Yeah, so, it certainly is. So, in that journey, when did you make that decision to actually make that investment in the molds? I mean, I know from all my conversations, that's a big, big moment. Where were you in like the prototyping or the testing to say, you know what, we actually have something here. I'm ready to take that next risk? Because I think that's a big step it sounds like you took.
It was about a year. So it was after a year. So our prototypes weren't adding any more value. So, when you're using 3D printers or however you decide to make a prototype, when they stop adding value and you've reached your design conclusion, you're then looking at, right, okay, well, the design is finished, but the next part is the engineering. So it's kind of, will it work in mass production? Because you can make some beautiful prototypes. All these products you do see on crowdfunding, they look beautiful, but it's getting that end result. How do you get from that lovely concept to something that people will actually pick up and buy? So that we just basically hit a wall. It's like, are we going to commit to this? We just believed enough, and we could see that nobody else was going to do it. So we just took the plunge on it, really.
That's cool. And are you at that point looking for any sort of market validation, or is that still where you are right now with Indiegogo? Or did you want to find something in that to say, again, before I take this big step, I know people are actually going to still want to buy it, like there's going to be something. Did you guys do anything like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, we handed it to enough people, or sort of a small group of testers that had given us feedback, and it was performing as we wanted it. So that was kind of enough validation that we could sell it. But there's always that anxiety before you launch. And, you've invested so much time and so much money into it. You're just like, well, how many people will buy it? There's always that anxiety. But we've done our research. We're users of the product, so we knew we were using it every day. When we traveled, it does. It's so lightweight. It weighs only 140 grams, which is, I always have to think, because I don't think in ounces or pounds, but it's such a lightweight thing. It's ideal for kind of travel, and it rolls up all that functionality. So we just knew it would work and it would be popular, and it has. Timing, I think for us, timing is one of the things. Like, we'd like to have got it out earlier for our backers to have had it in time for the summer, but then we could never have planned for COVID-19. It's just one of those kind of, it's always if only, but it seems to be popular, even though we're in these situations. So.
That's cool. So, inside of that journey, then where do you start thinking about crowdfunding or Indiegogo, Kickstarter, or whatever it is? Where do you just start thinking like, hey, we're going to use this as our vehicle to launch the product?
Day one, I knew I was going to bring this product through crowdfunding. I knew that I was going to bring a product to crowdfunding 2 or 3 years before. I just hadn't found the idea that I felt would be the right idea. There's a couple of reasons why I wanted to go to crowdfunding. Obviously, there's the financial support, but I think it's the community. Like, I think, we may or may not raise as much, or, you don't, the amount of money you raise is kind of, you have your desires, you set your targets. But the thing that I knew we would get, but I didn't really understand the true value of it, was the community that we'd get out of it. There's obviously the backers, they're just fantastic, the support you get. But it's also the other creators, it's the other campaign owners or people who have already been through it in the past. So, in the journey that we've been through, I've connected with lots of campaigns who are in the same field. Like, they brought a product. They brought a product to market for a GoPro action camera. I connected to them. I said, we're just about to do this campaign. How did you go about it? What were your experiences? What were your pitfalls? And they were so helpful, because they just knew, how, because it's incredibly difficult. A crowdfund, like. It's quite a different experience to anything I've been through, actually. And their support has been, probably the best thing that we've got out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. It's one of the reasons we do this podcast, because we want to talk about it. It's like 10 times harder than everybody thinks when they start. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to put this up on I'll put it up on the website, and I'll run a couple Facebook ads. I'll tell my friends, and I'll raise $100,000. It's like, no. It's like the hardest marketing to do on the planet. Like, it's like super, super hard. I'm selling something that they're not going to get for 5 or 6 months. Like maybe 5 or 6 months, So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think pre-order, the concept of pre-order now is like, it's a huge thing, isn't it? Like, people aren't really interested in it. They want it now. Everyone wants it on Amazon, and they wanted it 2 days ago. Yeah. And that's a challenge, isn't it? Like, they're like, is it selling on Amazon? I get it's probably one of my big quick requests I get all the time. No, it's not. You're backing an idea or a project. We're further along than an idea because because that's where we took it. But you're supporting a small company, and I suppose in these times that's kind of even more important. Like, to kind of encourage innovation, because innovation and things like that will get us out of the mess that we're in at the minute. Right. That's where you're going to get growth. It's going to get new investment, so new jobs, all that sort of stuff. So. So if you are backing a project, you are kind of, you're kickstarting or Indiegogoing a new company which will employ people and new ideas and things. So it's a good thing to back this project.
Yeah, totally. So, now that you've kind of, you knew you were going to do some sort of crowdfunding from day one, and now you have your prototype and everything's feeling good. When do you know that you're ready to launch, though? Before you hit that button, did you have a mailing list that you built, or was there some data points you were looking for? When did you just know now is the time to hit that launch button? I think in hindsight, we thought we were ready back in February, but we were ready with. We're designer and engineer, and we were ready in terms of the product. Our tooling was made. We had done a small batch runs of the product. We'd done all the testing. We'd done all that sort of stuff. And we had some social media presence, a small amount. The thing that we didn't realize would take so long, I think we thought it would be like an instant thing when you put the website up and you're like, well, we'll capture loads of emails. But that is something, especially when we were being told that we needed 30 or 40,000 emails. And that was a real shock, because to build a list like that takes time. Yeah. And it also takes money in terms of advertising and all that sort of stuff. And I think, we could have spent an absolute fortune on that, but there is a point where you kind of have to go, this is our first project. Yep. This is the first time we're doing it. We don't know all the pitfalls. We don't know where we could lose money. So we've been fairly cautious in, I suppose, our marketing budget and what we've been willing to spend. So it did take a long time, or it took, several months to kind of grow a list. And then I think as we came out of the lockdown and we had a certain amount of following, we were just like, if we don't go now, we'll miss this season, or, people are coming into summer. This product's very kind of, it's ideal for when people are out in the water enjoying their holidays and stuff. So it just felt like the right time. I think we could have gone on and on and on trying to build email lists, or, when do you stop? I mean, right. There is no actual magical number. At some point you just have to go, all right, listen, we got a bunch. There's energy. It feels like the right time, and push the button and see what happens. That's cool. Well, we haven't even talked about the Indiegogo. So while we're talking right now, you've got about 8 days to go. Over just under $70,000 in the US here that I'm looking at on my end here, but over 900 backers, which that's a lot of orders. So I'm assuming you guys got to be really excited about that. Is this campaign kind of where you thought it was going to be? Just when you looked at your data in the launch, have you guys felt like this has been a very, very successful campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely where we'd hope to be. Like, you have aspirations to be higher, and you have lower limits as well. But it's definitely gone as we planned. Like, it's going well. We're really happy with it. or you can always do more. But we're really happy with it's essentially doing what it needs us to do. We're trying to manage also, like, I think you can push really hard with the marketing and sell, but that can have a detrimental effect on delivery as well. So we're just, through the campaign, we're just trying to balance sales stroke delivery, so that we don't compromise on our promise to deliver in August, as we've said. And we are managing to do that. So the product will have been manufactured by the end of the month, and then we'll go through the quality inspection, and then we'll start, it will ship to our fulfillment and then on to the end customer. So, that's also really important, because if we can do that, that will also build a stronger brand, because people will like, these people are reliable. We want to buy something off them again. So it means then we could come back to the platform with confidence with another project. And we'll have also learned all the things like, how to market something, because I've never done it before. I mean, it's
right. Whole other animal. Yeah. Whole other animal. So has there been anything that's like stood out in this campaign that you guys just had no idea that, like, I don't know, a country that's supporting you, or just something that's just been completely out of left field?
We knew that it would be popular in certain countries. Like, it's very popular in the US. They're probably it's well over half our backers are from the US and Canada. And, it's popular in Europe as well, but we've sold in over 50 countries now. And I think we've sold in 46 states of the US. So wow. We have designed something that is pretty global. It doesn't matter where you're from, or, which is great. I think the thing that we've learned from that is the shipping. That becomes a bit of a challenge. It'd be easier if everyone came from one country. But equally, it kind of makes it more popular if you can sell it anywhere. So
yeah. So how did you guys navigate that? Because that's something I like to talk about on every episode. I like to at least hint at it. Like, shipping can make or break you. So how did you guys approach it and put a strategy together to handle that?
I think the devil is in the detail. You've just got to be very particular about it. Yeah. You just need to really verify all your costs. And, I think that's it, is just make sure that you just double check. I'm just constantly double checking, because if we make any mistake there, in reality, shipping costs more than the product does. It's just so expensive. So you really got to get the shipping right. So you just got to make sure. I'm still on a daily basis going, have I got this right? Is it going for the right place? All those sort of things. But, we've done it so many times, checking. We hope maybe we'll have a call and say, how did the shipping go? Yeah.
That's cool. And, and when you were kind of approaching this, what were you looking for, and when you're building out your page design, what were you trying to get at in terms of maybe like that buyer persona and lining up the content to support that? Because clearly you probably had somebody, like, a vision in your mind of who this consumer is, who's going to buy your product. How did you then attack the content to line that up, right? To make it a seamless thing? Because I think you guys did an amazing job on that. I think your page looks really great and stuff. So great content. But how did you guys approach that? I think that's a big step for a lot of project creators as well.
I think we enjoyed making the content for our own project too much, because ultimately I love being outdoors, and I love being in the water, and I love kind of doing all the water sports and all that sort of stuff. So I think we enjoyed it. That doesn't mean we're the best at creating content. And I've learned that. I think actually I've learned that more in this campaign, and the community that we've now kind of gained through, the product samples we've sent. We've met some amazing content creators, and what they produce is fantastic. And actually, if I was to do it again, I'd probably get them on board sooner. But I think it was my kind of lust to enjoy making the content myself that kind of, it's very easy to get. I got buried into that a little bit. I am the, I would buy this product. I've designed it, but I would have bought this product had I been there. So I kind of enjoy those water sports. So I felt I knew what I'd be looking for. I think there is a strong community around sort of action cameras anyway. So it kind of needed to look dynamic and fresh and all those sort of things. But then we're not GoPro, we're not DJI, so we had to add our own personal flair and element. And I think we've done that through, our choice of colors and things like that, I suppose.
It's cool. So, campaign ends in about a little over a week. What starts happening on your end? And you've kind of mentioned a little bit, you have the molds and stuff, but like what starts happening just to make sure that you're getting this product in your hands for people on your timeline?
Sorry, I'm not sure I got the question.
So what starts happening for you, like in terms of getting the product in people's hands? And you've mentioned it a little bit, but just, what do you have to start physically doing to ship out these units to people in your timeline?
So we're the product's just coming to final assembly. Then we have the quality inspection. So just making sure that everything is to the highest quality. It meets all the engineering drawings we've done. And then it is shipping to the UK, and we've got a couple of fulfillment centers around the world. So they'll be going to those locations. And then it's just managing the logistics of that. So we'll be doing surveys to make sure that everyone's addresses are all correct, and all those sort of things, all those details. And also we'll be giving an option if people want to speed up their shipping, because we can't promise the earth, but if people need it for a holiday, then they could pay additional to get it there faster or whatever. But it's the logistical elements and making sure all of those good things are done properly and on time.
Gotcha. And what does your next year look like for either this product or the company in general?
So we have a few ideas that we'd like to kind of develop, and I think the way we're going to address it will be slightly differently to the way we've addressed this, since we've now got a community on board. Suddenly we've got at least 1,000 people who will have bought the product that we can kind of verify it with.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, what do you think of this product? Invite them as part of as a bigger focus group.
Right.
So I think we'll be doing that with a few products that we have. Obviously we'll be pushing to sell new grip to more people, so more people can enjoy it and kind of make their lives easier. So yeah, it'll be it's a balance of growing the brand with some more products and more development, and just it'd be nice to grow the team as well, because at the minute it's just myself and my wife, and it would be good to get some additional people to work with and enjoy working with. So that's the next year.
And how about your 5-year roadmap? Is it something that you see making 10 different versions of this? They just get bigger, smaller, whatever it is, or different colors? Or do you see yourself kind of moving into multiple different products in maybe the camera space, or what do you kind of see for the next 5 years?
So I personally like to declutter. So I'm not after kind of for the sake of making something, we brought this product to make life easier. They don't have to take so many things with them when they're traveling, all those sort of things. So if anything, we're going to be bringing products that simplify people's relationship with travel, make it less stressful when they're going away. I've had people who are camera enthusiasts and they're like, I've got lots of different tripods, but I'm actually not going to need any of the other ones now. I'm just going to use this one. My wife's not going to be annoyed because I've got a bag full of camera bits and parts and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's what we'll be doing with more kind of travel and adventure-based products. And they will be photography related, and sometimes they may not be. But I think that's what we'll be looking to, is to kind of declutter, make things more efficient, lightweight. All the things that we kind of all desire when we're kind of getting ready to go on a break or traveling or. So that's the plan.
That's cool. Very, very cool. So I've been ending the episodes since quarantine with kind of a lightning round of questions. So if you're ready for them, I can shoot them over your way.
Go for it.
All right. So what's the best thing you've watched recently? Maybe on the Netflix or the Hulu, the HBO, whatever it might be, one of those streaming services.
On the Netflix. You've just put me on the spot. Gosh. Well, my wife likes a lot of the vampire shows that we've been, so we're watching some things like that, which, she should be horrified that I said that. But have you seen Normal People? It's a thing. It's like a BBC drama.
No,
we watched that. Things like we've watched plenty of stuff, but to be honest, we've been so focused on the project, you kind of watch something just to kind of shut down. Right. I don't really remember any of it.
Yeah, the background noise stuff. Yeah, it's just something's on. That's cool. Is there anything you're reading book wise at all?
Actually, I'm reading a vampire book, which is
it's all about vampires. All right.
Yeah. So, and I do read, various business books and things like that, but I've kind of just been mainly focused on this. I walk my dog. The thing that I do probably the most is walk my dog. I think that does a lot of good for me. I'm getting out in the fresh air. Yeah. You kind of you can think a lot, but you're outside, and he always needs a walk. So there's always that to be done.
It's always good to get a little less screen time where you're just constantly plugged in all the time. So
especially with communication. Like that's the thing I was never prepared for is, tweeting, WhatsApping, Facebooking, Instagramming, emailing.
Yeah.
It's relentless. So if you can just have a bit of downtime from the screen, it's great. Actually.
Yeah. That's great. Now, I know you're listening to my podcast all the time, so I know you're number one fan there. But is there any other podcasts that you might listen to?
Do you know what? I'm not. I more watch sort of YouTube and sort of bloggers of camera stuff. Peter McKinnon's over lockdown. I learned so much from Peter McKinnon's camera tutorials and things like that. So that's
cool.
That's what I've been mainly doing. So
that's nice. And all right, my last one will be: is there any sort of blog or website you kind of go to for business or I don't know, just marketing, whatever it might be, that just kind of help you sort of move forward or learn something?
I'm trying to think. There's so much out there. I don't specifically go to one place. I kind of just browse, and if I see something that I like, I'll kind of capture it. So I think for me, I use because I'm a creative, I use Pinterest a lot. So if I see something visually I like, I just Pinterest it. So I've got these kind of mood boards of content or design ideas and things like that. So that's kind of the way I kind of journal things that I like. So I kind of browse rather than kind of focus in on one particular thing.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I do something kind of similar with Pocket. I store it all the way into the app Pocket, things that I like, and just move it all in there. So kind of the same sort of concept. But that's awesome. Well, again, I think I appreciate you taking time out of your day here. I know it's a busy time with the campaign finishing up here, but I encourage everybody to go check it out. It's New Grip 4-in-1 over on Indiegogo. About 8 days to go. Is there any other place that you want to send people, any other websites or stuff, or should we just send everybody to the Indiegogo page?
Absolutely. Just go to the Indiegogo. We've got a website which has been live for a while. It's www.nu-bear.com. So that's our main website. And it'll, the product will feature on there after Indiegogo.
Awesome. Well, Richard, congrats on a great campaign. Really cool product. I'm a big fan over here on my end. You're probably going to get me as a backer because I always love new gadgets. So this feels like it's going to definitely fit into our arsenal over here. But congrats on and good luck on the next 8 days. Hope you guys continue bringing in some backers.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Take care.